Welcome to Billy and Andre Show, the only show that makes you say, oh look, there's Billy and Andre. Why are they playing with dolls? They're not dolls, they're action figures.
You
hey,
can tell,
Billy.
You can tell because not only do they not have junk, the only reason they don't have junk is because I burn them off. That's how you know they're action figures, guys, when they've been torched by a 12-year-old.
Wow. I did not think you're going to go in that direction.
You never done that?
No.
No, you never melted someone's, no, never?
No. I did not expect to go in that direction, that intro, but
that explains why I was sent to the nurse a lot. Anyway, how are you doing, my friends?
I'm good, doing great. I'm doing great, you know?
We are recording this a little bit later than usual. I will say that.
Well, you know, we have to live our lives as well.
Yeah, that's true.
This is fun and all, but, you know.
What he means to say is he was, like, whoring himself out to a friend of his. He was using his, his friend was using his body for a purpose. So, do you want to...
Go on, carry furniture.
Yeah.
Because I'm helping him move less. Wow.
I think the way I put it was funnier. Anyway.
I just helped a friend, okay?
Speaking of helping friends, Star Trek.
Star Trek, yeah. So this is the geek episode.
Yes.
Where we're going to geek out.
I cannot wait.
Yeah. So, because we constantly just, we always dip our toes inside of politics because Billy can't help himself. So I thought, what's the most geekiest, the most sort of political facing sort of TV show you can find? Well, not the older ones, but the newer ones are a lot more political.
Actually, the older ones have a point to make as well, but we'll get into it.
But
this is Andre's way of talking politics, and it's how I like to help him with things.
So this is the only politics I really enjoy talking about, which is Star Trek politics. So we're doing Star Trek politics. So like this, you can get your fix for politics. I can get my fix for being a geek, and it just works out, and it's less real because the world's very real right now.
Yeah, we get to avoid talking about real world issues, which is great for us mentally.
Yeah. So it's like, well, funny enough, I can't remember, some famous comedian, he's like, oh, I actually don't have social media, so whenever you see me on social, I can't remember his name, which one it was, but he said, I don't have any social media and I don't watch the news ever. And he's a really good, I should have looked him up. But the idea is, he's like, I'm staying away from the real world because it's too much and it just doesn't help me psychologically. So he's just avoiding all of it. He's like, I'm done.
I think that's a really common mindset these days, if I'm honest. Like,
it's like, there's nothing we can do about anything that's going on.
Well,
right?
There are things you can do. It's just they won't work. So there's...
So you're just destroying your own psyche, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think it's important to stay informed with things, but it's also important for everyone else listening to this to remember that I'm a bit mental. Okay. So... I'm weird like that. I sort of thrive off it, and then I have to like basically stop myself.
You do remember? I didn't make you, but I kind of nudged you to delete X.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
But
Twitter was not making me psychologically.
You got so much better after you did that.
Yeah, I was less stressed out, and I was less ready to, I was less saying things that were possibly illegal. So,
well, you're still doing that, but you're just saying it in the pub, so it's okay.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Once you've had a couple of pints, you basically have an excuse against anything you say.
Yeah, so, you can just claim that, I didn't mean it like that. That was
I was memeing. Is that what the kids say now?
I think they're saying that.
Yeah. It used to be trolling. Now I was just trolling you. I was just trolling everybody. But I always said, maybe we should, murder X group of people. That's what I was saying. It's a troll.
Yeah. Why did you have to say that?
I was just praying. I was just fooling.
You shouldn't have said the M word.
You're on camera, bro.
No, you were so good so far. You're being 5 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, he's not gonna swear. And he did. Obviously, he did. All right, let's go Star Trek. So
why do you want to bring up Star Trek in the context of politics anyway? Like, what was
because
the inspiration?
I love their idea of government. Because they're egalitarianism sort of government. Well, it's not, because of internet, dude. Can you all just take the same sort of idea and stick with it? Because the more you read about Star Trek's great, right?
Yeah.
And the people that love Star Trek, they're phenomenal because their brains don't stop working and don't stop thinking about this, but they also just argue with each other constantly. So if you go on the wiki, right? Because you're like, let's go on the wiki because you should get a lot of information off of the wiki. You get way too much information off the wiki. It's like there's a lot of information, then there's too much information about the whole subject. and people arguing about this.
It's a bit like because there's very few like geek sort of properties that I can really think of as like actual geek properties. Star Trek is one of them.
Well, Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica, I suppose.
And the Battlestar Galactica is for the really hardcore. So then you first get initialized to sci-fi by, watching Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
That's another thing that fans constantly argue about.
It's a very linear sort of action, sort of moving.
Have you ever noticed that all the Star Wars stories are basically the same and they get continually worse? Has anyone ever noticed that?
But that's just the last 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Because the first three, which were not even in order, were great.
Yeah, the first three were
and then
great.
they got
Yeah,
apparently Andor, I think that what's called Andor. Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard Rogue One was pretty good, but then I think I saw Rogue One.
So the Rogue One,
it's
it's just a side mission that happened for Luke Skywalker to get the actual blueprints to.
That's the thing that pisses me off.
It was just a side mission.
I know, but here's the thing that fucks me up about that, right?
Okay.
It's a side mission that the story they have told 18,000 times. Every bit, like if you've ever played Star Wars games,
similar to everything else.
If you read any of the Star Wars novels or the Star Wars games, 8 different people were responsible for getting the sodding Death Star plans. They always this is a really important mission. It's a side mission. It's a really important mission, so you should probably pay attention to it. It's the same story. The only good thing about Rogue One was the sarcastic robot. That's the only thing I respect about that movie. If I'm thinking of the right one. It wasn't
free CPO, no. It was that new round one.
No, the tall one. The tall one with the humanoid voice that was constantly sarcastic.
Don't remember that.
Well, anyway, it's Star Wars. Who cares? Nobody cares.
Star Trek. Let's focus.
Star Trek is a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot more interesting. Well, this is an argument now. If anybody this video will ever catch traction. Oh my God, we will start to because I'm a Trekkie, right? I enjoy Star Wars occasionally, but I'm a Trekkie, and I will die for like Star Trek. I will die for this. This is my cross to bear.
This is your niche nerd shit.
It's I enjoy it quite a lot. Like I watched. You haven't watched the new ones, though.
I have not.
You have not watched Discovery. You have not watched Strange Worlds.
Nope.
Oh, did you need to?
I haven't even watched Below Decks yet.
You need to go to your free internet browser supplier and watch that stuff. It's really good. Discovery. Listen, let's start with this. Let's start with the base because we're gonna be just mumbling like idiots for.
Yes, go for it. Like we never.
So the whole Star Trek universe, right? It's planet Earth, right? The whole history starts the same as our history goes. Maybe slightly different here and there, but what happens is they had an additional war and then a lot more wars after that. That's what sort of shaped the Earth to become what it became, to shape the United Federation of Planets, to become the United Federation of Planets, because they needed to go through a lot of rubbish before they got there, right? So according to the wiki and according to all the TV shows, I don't know if I should say according to wiki or according to canon. I think to canon.
According to canon.
According to canon. So somewhere in the 20th century, which is around now. Well, I think the more exact year was 1966. They had an additional war, which was the eugenics war. Did you heard about the eugenics?
No.
So eugenics is a lot more emphasized, I think, in Deep Space Nine, where the doctor, his name is
Bashir.
Yes, so he's actually his genetics are modified.
Yes.
So during the eugenics war, it got illegal for anybody to get their DNA modified to become stronger, smarter, and all that. So they could, because of this war, they had a war over it. So
people invent genetic engineering. Immediately, there's a war over it.
Exactly.
And it gets banned. Exactly. Probably for the best.
Straight after that, 21st century, which it hits a little bit too harder to home. This one, World War III,
because they're in it.
So it says middle of the 21st century. So it hits a little bit close to home. Not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
It's
like when you see by 2025, people are gonna be like riding hoverboards.
No. They had the the Third World War, so I'm gonna hit hard. Because it might happen or it might not happen.
We're pretending the real world doesn't exist, Andre. So let's not make any more allusions to a potential war that might kill all of us.
Which leads to a more sort of peaceful future from that, because everybody kind of been like, well, let's stop doing that. Let's stop fighting each other. Let's stop, because there was another atomic war after that, which kind of destroyed most of the planet, and then everybody's like, all right, we're done. We're done. And then, but at the same time, you have to imagine like all this war was going on in the canon, and then the scientists and the brilliant minds in the background, they kind of kept going. So they invented the warp drive, and that's when they got introduced to the Vulcans. And then it was explained to them that the humans, Vulcans, Romulans, and another species from these, you find them in Deep Space Nine.
The Trail?
No, the species that kind of enslaved. Anyway,
not the Klingons.
Not the Klingons. Well, anyway, all these races, they came all from a progenitor species, so we're all related because we're biped species, so we're all related with each other to a certain degree. But everybody went different ways culturally. If you look at the Klingons, they went crazy. They're basically the orcs in Warhammer 40k. I always looked at the Klingons being orcs or Warhammer 40k.
They were based on a bunch of like real, like sort of warrior race creeds that it's kind of a mix of like the Mongols, Bushido, a whole bunch of like warrior race.
I mean,
shit,
you can do whatever you want when you're creating this, right?
I mean,
it's from your imagination.
And Gene Roddenberry was a really weird dude. He had lots of weird influences because he was the guy who invented like most of this, right? This is his backstory. So.
Well, and then they got a lot of writers though.
Yeah.
So I think he came up with a sort of idea. He kind of built a universe, and then they got writers in for episodes, and then everybody kind of added a little bit more, and got added to the canon, and then you turn around now and you're like, holy mother of God,
this has gotten way too big. Oh God.
It's as big as our universe, right?
Literally,
because it's quite literally. From there, after they met the Vulcans, the Federation got formed, which took over all the military side of everything. They took over, well, I almost said the Navy, but, they're starships.
Is, I mean, like,
And then...
it sounds better than a fucking Space Force.
Yeah, that's true.
People listening out there who thought that was a cool idea. Well, I don't know. Space Force, really?
That sounds like a parody of Star Trek, right?
It sounds like Spaceballs. It sounds like something Mel Brooks would come up with. I'm sorry.
Spaceballs.
Him doing like the Jews in space, and it's just like a Hebrew star.
You have to use that word. Did you really?
That's what he called it, man. I thought that bit was hilarious. Anyway, everyone should watch Mel Brooks movies. He's still alive. I found out. I did not know he was still alive.
Is he still alive?
98 years old, still kicking.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. He just mostly talks about like how awesome all the people he worked with are now. Like that's basically what he does.
I mean, what else is he gonna do?
Yeah, I mean he's 98. I think he's still,
He just, pops
being
up.
Mel Brooks. His son wrote World War Z. If you read that book. Yeah.
That's cool.
Max Brooks. Yeah, he's a pretty good writer, apparently.
I mean, if you have a famous parent, something might have. Yeah,
the movie was terrible. The book was actually pretty good because it's a satire. It's a satire of what was going on at the time.
Was it meant to be a satire, actually?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be like a satire of like, zombie fiction and zombie, apocalypse stuff.
On the same note, Carolyn found a new anime that's coming out very soon.
What's it called?
I didn't catch the name, but the premises is there's these cats. And it's a play on zombies. So if you pet the cat, you turn into a cat, and there's cats taking over the whole planet.
Oh God!
I'm actually a little bit excited for it. Not gonna lie.
The Grey Goose scenario, but with small, adorable kittens.
Exactly. It's so good, right?
Okay.
Nobody bites nobody. It's great. Moving on.
Star Trek. So
anyway. Star Trek. Right. We were. Vulcans got introduced to humans. The Vulcans decided that it's a good time because you have warp drives now, so we can actually talk to you peasants. So you got to this point in life. Here you go. We can start talking. The Federation got formed. Federation running all the military, all the fleets and all that. Also running Department 31, Area 31 sort of thing.
Like secret science stuff.
That nobody knows because they're like, we never existed. It's pretty cool. You have to watch the new series to get how cool that is, but
okay, I will at some point,
Yeah, finish Deep Space Nine first.
Hey, I've watched the end of Deep Space Nine. It's just that was when I was a kid, and I haven't caught up yet with my rewatches.
Okay, cool. You could watch the new stuff.
I could, but I've still got lots of old stuff to read. And to be fair, it's better. So
okay, so the Kirk stuff happened, and then we moved on, and then the Enterprise happened, the new generation happened, and all that. So now we are sort of in the sort of new generation era. I'm gonna stop there because you don't know anything else.
Hey,
you don't know Discovery. I'm not gonna tell you about the time travel stuff. And
oh no, well, to be fair, they always had time travel.
No, it's really cool in Discovery, dude. That's what I'm telling you. You need to watch it.
But usually, like, there was temporal stuff that happened before.
There's other wars that happen. Like you're not there, so I can't tell you about this stuff. This is a secret, Billy.
Just go ahead and have to go for the sake of the audience who also don't watch those shows, judging by the ratings. Maybe you should give a brief synopsis of some of those things.
Well, so no, because Discovery follows. No, watch it. We're gonna just stop at New Generation because that's where I wanted to go because I want to talk about governments. So. Let's talk about how do you think how are they run?
Well, the thing is, like, what you described already, like what you described is like a really sort of like, you can tell it was written right after World War II. Like, you can tell the idea was sort of formed right after World War II.
Yeah.
Just like the whole idea of, hey, we fought a giant war that nearly killed everybody. Yeah. That means that we'll all think all of a sudden that war is a bad idea. Which we thought was what would happen after World War II, and it didn't. So that kind of optimism was kind of key to the original Star Trek. That's what I understood.
Yeah, so as I said, so Star Trek itself, it's the most positive sci-fi series in the world, in the idea that they're looking at the best outcome of this planet, which is very unlikely to happen, because if you would watch Battlestar Galactica, that's more likely to happen.
Just people blowing the fuck out of each other.
No, so they destroy the planet and androids, and then android infiltrate humanity and that kind of thing. Even though it happened, because there was another... androids are sort of forbidden to be created because they can... So that's another thing.
It's the simulant. It's what's it? The simulant thing from...
Yeah. So, AI, basically. They don't want AI, because AI... And then, another good sci-fi is the Terminator series.
Yeah.
Also, that's more likely to happen the way the planet's going. But so they were the most sort of positive ones. Yeah. So they looked at them and were like, listen, we could be good. We're not, but we could.
Yeah.
So United Federation of Planets is a federal representative republic where you have a democratically elected president. Also, you have a Supreme Court. Also a Federation Council for Legislations. So there's a lot of bureaucracy.
It's basically the American system, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the American system in space.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, aren't the Americans
doing really well right now?
No, not they're capitalists.
Yeah.
Because the Federation is not capitalist.
No, it is not.
So they sort of fall in the umbrella of
You're gonna get that word right one of these days, man.
Dude, it sounds good in my head.
I know, right?
It sounds good, but it's such a complicated word for me to say.
It's got like 5 syllables, yeah.
Well, you go for it.
Egalitarianism.
I hate that word. Why did they choose? I know, like, why would they choose that word?
Because it was come up with in the 1800s.
I love that you just decided we're keeping that.
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, we can cut out some of the skill issue, but not all of the skill issue, man. You got to own it at some point.
Thanks, man. Which basically means that everybody is equal, and in the case of Star Trek, the government looks after all your needs and wants. So the only thing you could do is improve upon society.
Yeah.
So you don't actually do any work for anything because you have the replicators. So the replicator will replicate anything. There's replicators that replicate replicators.
And that's the key thing to sort of understanding how Star Trek can have that kind of society in a way.
Because they have the replicators.
Because they have replicators, because they can basically make whatever they want out of thin air.
Exactly.
And like Marx had a word for this in like one of his many long, dry books about politics and economics and stuff. I think it was called like... was it abundance or something like that? A society, a post-scarcity society.
Yeah.
A society which has gone beyond the need for us to have to buy food and shit because we've all just got food. There's just so much of it.
It's enough food. Everybody has food. Everybody has clothes. Everybody has a home. Everybody can drive whatever they want and then can, drive fast and die. And everybody's going to be like, good for him. How fast did he go? Not fast enough. He didn't do enough for society. He's not going to be famous. But this is the point, right? The only way you could get famous in this society is to do something great.
Yeah. Something
that will actually give worth to something. Well, I mean, not driving fast because you already have NASCAR and it's rubbish. They drive fast in a circle.
In my ideal like communist utopia, NASCAR is banned.
Is it?
No.
No, you should leave NASCAR because it's fun to see the monkeys.
Well, it's a way to safely cull the rednecks. Just put them in their cars, let them go round and round in a circle, and let them get on with it.
And then you just entertain a whole bunch of other rednecks.
You jangle some keys.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm just kidding, NASCAR fans.
I'm so glad. We're probably no NASCAR for listening to us. Let's be realistic, Billy.
Interesting thing about NASCAR, it got its start during the Great Depression and the Prohibition by guys racing their smuggling cars.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, that's why they're just an oval.
I thought that was drag cars.
No, drag cars as well, but they also invented, like, ones that could... Because some American cities, right, have corners.
No way. Didn't they just build everything in a straight line?
I have seen it with my own eyes. They have corners.
No way.
So some of the cars had to go round to the left sometimes.
So they only have left corners?
Yes.
There's no right corners
Yeah,
anywhere.
like if you try and turn right in America, like
you get a fine.
No, it's a death sentence.
Oh, is it?
Like, depending on the state.
You get straight to Supreme Court and you're done.
Yeah, like your car gets impounded. Like, those crusher things? Like
so they literally... pound down your car, so they basically impound your car
with you in it. Yes,
okay.
That's the punishment for going right in America.
Oh, fine.
Not politically, but on the road.
I knew you're gonna make this political. I knew you're gonna make this because when you kept on saying right, I'm like, it's gonna happen, isn't it? Is it gonna happen, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for anti-ing my joke, dude. You've done well.
I did. I listened. I literally tried not to stop because you were like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna say it. He said it.
Moving on.
You would think, having everything done, you would look at communism and be like, oh, it's basically communists in space, right? They have everything. That's the sort of ideals, but there's not. So in some weird way, all of human society decided, oh, we don't want to be richer than my neighbor, which is phenomenal, right? That's why I love the whole Star Trek universe. Is like you still have the other races which are very greedy, like
yeah, that's one of the weird things about Star Trek. Like, all this stuff that's kind of bad about humans is sort of missing, and they all just sort of put it into other species instead.
Yeah. So they made us look so good.
Yeah,
right? So that's why it's the unrealistic thing. Like I dream to see the world being like that, right? When you don't have to worry about anything, and you just have to do work because you want to do something that is cool and nice and fun.
But it makes sense as to why, like, Starfleet is such a coveted job, right? It's hard to get into Starfleet.
It's very hard to get. You have to be extremely intelligent to get into Starfleet. So, because you watch Star Trek for the first time, and you're like, so is everybody into Starfleet? And then you watch more and more, and then you go in different sort of TV shows, like you see Deep Space Nine, because I'm keep on giving you Deep Space Nine an example, because you haven't watched anything else.
You can't blame me for not watching the new stuff, man.
Yeah, I am actually. But yeah, you see how people struggle to get into the Federation.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. It's like a difficult thing because with which one was it from Deep Space Nine? Nog?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's
got
not.
it. He got it.
He got in and he was like the first Ferengi to join Deep Space. It was a big deal, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was studying like a mother for it. And he's also like supposed to be like a teenager.
Yeah,
So you got to get in there when you're a kid, basically.
yeah.
And
Well, that's where indoctrination starts, bro.
kind of.
You have to start them young, right?
Well, that's the thing with. Like you said, like, you know, all the sort of, you know, material stuff, you know, like making massive amounts of money there's no money anymore, right?
So what's the point, right? So you don't need to make.
So you don't need to do like crazy things, but you can do, if you are the sort of person who wants to do crazy things, you could try and become a space captain and just go off into the universe and do crazy shit.
Yeah,
there.
and then just go discover the universe. But
that was basically what Kirk was doing all the time. He was just like, "Ha ha! I'm a pirate."
But the thing is, like,
come here, love, give us a kiss.
yeah, well, that wasn't like they don't do that anymore.
I know.
They can't get away with that anymore.
It's a shame. Like, thing is, like, the last time they tried to do it, to my memory, was in Voyager with the pilot guy. I can't remember his name. That's how boring he was.
Yeah.
I cannot remember his name.
I mean, Voyager was a boring TV.
It was a very boring TV show. But they tried to make him...
It's a shame, though. I don't know how they got away with making 6 seasons of that.
I don't know. People seem to like Captain Janeway. I'm not entirely sure why. Like, she's kind of stale, really. You know, for the most part.
Yeah. It's like a tea cake, you know.
Yeah, and like she always like, you'd imagine someone in her position who would be, you know, she'd be like a hard-nosed, you know, take no nonsense sort of thing.
Oh, here's the thing, right?
But she takes nonsense all the time from all sorts of bad people. I don't get it.
But the thing, you know, you see all the enterprises and all of this. If you look at sort of Discovery, when you're going to watch the TV show, you'll see there's like people there just because they want to do some scientific research. So they're part of their science division, right? They're just there to do a job and then they move on and they want to discover something cool. And all of a sudden, it's not as exciting as flying into unknown space to discover something. They're just there being like, oh, this is the planet, let's study that. Oh, look, a rock. And then it gets a little bit, you're a little bit, oh, there's something else going on in the background. So there are boring jobs, but they're not boring for them because they actually want to do it. So it's not a boring job for that person. But from my point of view, I'm like, oh yeah, he goes to study rocks.
It's like those people who like go to train stations and like keep exact tabs on how late the trains are every day, and like, you know, and which model of train it was, and you know what running gear it's using, and like, you know, there's people who are proper train freaks who I imagine if like you were the train company, you could just hire them and they would make your entire business more efficient. You know,
I don't think so. Not according to Friday. Oh my god, that story.
Andre had a bad experience with the trains, and now he wants to destroy all public transport.
No, it was horrible. So the only reason I went with the train is because I finished the course, and all the other guys that were on the course, about 17 of us, they're like, "Oh, let's go for a couple of drinks afterwards, because it will be really cool. Because we had to do this for 4 months. Let's go do it." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll just take a train in rather than drive, so I can have a couple of pints and not worry about it." We got there, finished the course, went to the first Weatherspoons. Obviously, they sold Blue Moon on draft.
Oh, that's nice.
That's how posh of a Weatherspoon is in Guildford. If you ever find, is Guildford posh? Is it upclass? Yes, they sold Blue Moon in. Do you know what Blue Moon is?
I do, yes.
Yeah, that's how upclass.
Sadly, I also know what Guildford is, and that means, that's just depressing.
Yeah. So, and they all had one drink and left. I'm like, mother trucker. I had to go on a train, except I could have been in my air-conditioned car. And you people had one drink. You know what I mean? It's like,
so you were the one planning ahead for a good old boys' night out, and they were like,
well, boys and girls, because it's everybody can be trained, Billy. We train females now as well, Billy. Just putting it out there. I don't know how it was back in your day, but
well, we always trained females. We just didn't pay them.
Oh, wow.
Hey. No,
that's it's going on the internet. That one, isn't it?
Yeah. Clip me out of context, bitch. Go for it.
I will. Oh, you're not talking to me, are you?
Anyway, back on topic.
So I had to take the trains back, and the trains, oh my god, had to change 4 trains to get back home, which was the worst thing in the world, just because of cancellations and something with the tracks.
Did they give you the robotic announcement of why, or?
Oh yeah, signaling issues. Signaling issues, which can mean anything and everything.
It could mean like some kids have stolen a light switch, or it could mean that
kids
half the tracks on
stealing
fire.
a light switch across the UK. So there was a gang of children that organized themselves across the whole rail system to steal all the signaling signs.
Just all across the southwest, yes. All across the area around Guildford.
And
They're probably from Guildford.
They're probably from Guildford. They're like, we need more signalings in Guildford. Have you driven through Guildford? No, you haven't, Billy. And it's even worse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's basically a massive roundabout that makes no sense. It's great. I went down the same street twice once because it just didn't make sense, and I'm like, I should not stop traffic right now. So I'm like, I'm pulling over.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that was my Friday. It was great.
Do you think they have like, a space? Is there a space version of like SatNav? Do you think there must be of some description?
Well, no, because they have the massive sort of galactic chart, right? That they always follow around. But then you have the undiscovered parts of the universe. Yeah. That's why you have so many quadrants to the universe. Like, those, what were they called? They were part of the Dominion.
Oh, the shapeshifters?
Yeah. So the shapeshifters were part of and they were from the Alpha Quadrant, which was like...
The other one. Gamma Quadrant?
Gamma whatever quadrant. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's cool, but again, it's too much info. Like, if you want to just enjoy the TV show, I feel like you shouldn't just remember absolutely everything, because they will probably explain it to you.
I actually had fun, like, after I, like, during my watch of Deep Space Nine, just looking up, like, oh, hey, here's, like, the actual supposedly canon map, because no one can agree on it. You're right.
Oh, nobody can agree on that thing, yeah.
But my shock was just like, holy shit, there's a lot of Borg there. Like, there's a lot of Borg, man. Like,
it's more Borg than expected.
Yeah, like just a huge sea of Borg, and it's just like, wow, that's...
And they're slowly moving towards the central of the universe. But in Nemesis, they kind of got pushed back, and then... If you would watch the new stuff, Borg kind of disappear, and the Federation have actual ships, and they basically mine the Borg ships, and they take humans off of that, and they try to reestablish them to society. So that's an actual thing that happens.
Oh, that's good. Was it?
Well, it wasn't just the Federation, actually. I might be wrong there, because there's the Romulans as well, and that's a different... and there's timeline, and then... it's too much. I just overwhelmed myself there in 1 second. Sorry.
This is where the geek out is too strong. Even
no, because it's like I want to tell you things, but I don't want to tell you things because I want you to experience them. Because you go like, "Oh, really?" And I really want you to do that, right? I might have to go on the free internet and get you all of them and put it on a memory stick for you.
What is it with you admitting to crimes on this podcast?
I am not admitting to fraud. There's free websites, Billy.
Yeah, which are criminals.
No, they're not.
They are.
No, they're not.
Yeah, it's piracy. Piracy is illegal. Have you never seen the films? You never seen the intros to those DVDs? Why are you
calling me out in front of people, you dickhead?
In front of people. That's our job, man.
Trying to play it off. And you're like... But yeah, I think that was me on Star Trek for a moment.
It was?
Yeah. Because there's things I can't tell you.
There's apparently things you can't tell me because you don't want to spoil it for me, which is nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But there's lots of interesting stuff to do, like when it comes to Star Trek, because it was written with this like sort of utopian idea in mind. Like, this... I remember when I was watching some sort of behind the scenes thing where while Gene Roddenberry was alive, there was so many story limitations on what they could do because he didn't want to tarnish the idea of like life on Earth not being perfect. Yeah. Like, he was like, okay, it's perfect. You don't need to know any more about it. Just ignore it. That was kind of his thing.
But it wasn't perfect, because if there's... with the Romulans, they had the problems, because Romulans were looking so like humans. And when they had the war with the Romulans, there were Romulans that modified their bodies so they look human. So they can infiltrate and become spies and attack the planet Earth from within. And that was a whole... thing.
Was that in the original show, or is that in the...
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was. I think it was in the New Generations.
To be fair...
Either that or was this Discovery, and I just ruined it.
No, the Next Generation, like the first couple of series, they were struck, like, it was before Gene Roddenberry was basically kicked out of Star Trek. So, like, over the Next Generation, it sort of transformed, so they were more critical of, like, Earth and stuff. More stuff could happen on Earth.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to, like, Deep Space Nine... They have the same thing with the shapeshifters infiltrating Earth, and causing like a panic, and everyone's like freaking out and shutting down Utopia.
Yeah, well, no, because I think Earth was the only ones that they were still fighting with the shapeshifters to a certain degree, because everybody else they were like, oh, okay, wasn't it?
I remember the Klingons got sort of distracted by having a war with the Cardassians because they felt like it, because they're Klingons.
Yeah.
And the Cardassians are dicks, so...
Oh, they are the worst of...
They are just dickheads, you know?
They're basically space Nazis, weren't they?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they're just a bunch of dickheads who are like, yes, we must do everything by our order for the glory of Cardassia. And then they get angry irrationally about things and make stupid decisions and fuck everything up.
But if you do remember watching them, they did enslave and then did a whole bunch of genocide.
Yeah, they did do that. Yeah, they did lots of that.
Because, I don't know if... so, you know Captain Picard?
Of course.
So before he's part of the new generation, sort of, getting the Emperor... yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. He was at war with the Romulans, right? Because that was when the Romulan War happened, and he did do genocide on Romulans.
Really?
Yeah.
Picard was responsible for genocide. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Where is the source for this information, sir? I will not have this slander.
I'll show you after, because you do find because it's one of the things that is from his past. That's why he's so cryptic and mysterious.
That makes sense, and it's why he's seeking a diplomatic solution to every situation.
Yeah.
You know, that was his great strength. I mean, Riker had the same thing, didn't he? Like Riker had done bad things in his past. Yeah,
they all kind of had the past, right? So they tried to build them a backstory, and I think that Picard, it was the. Have you seen Picard, the actual TV show Picard?
I've seen bits of it. Like what I saw, I thought was okay.
It was alright. It was right. It was more of him rediscovering himself, and by the end of it, he's an android. So, like, I'm not joking.
Oh, he goes full on Ghost in the Shell.
He becomes an android by the end of it.
So his mind gets transported into a.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why people didn't like it.
I can see that ending being contentious.
And then the third season was basically cameos.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was just all the old characters coming back. They're like, oh, we're running out of money.
Is Michael Dorn still alive?
Yeah. Can we still milk this cow? And they did. And it was actually, when I saw them, I'm like, oh, I went like that.
Which is, I suppose, you know, that's what the cameos are there for. They make you go, oh,
they were so cute. Oh, look at them, they're old now. Oh my god.
So Brian, he's still married to that harpy. You know,
Brian.
O'Brien.
Oh, O'Brien.
Yeah.
I can't remember if O'Brien actually showed up.
I bet he didn't. I bet they forgot about O'Brien. You know, despite the fact that he was a key member of that crew and many crews past. You know,
well, because he was part of the Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah, but he was a vital part on you know, the Enterprise as well.
Why did you think she was a harpy?
To be fair, I mean, I am actually being a bit mean to like the character of Keiko. It's just that the way O'Brien was kind of written, like every single season, at least once, there was like an episode where O'Brien gets tortured to shit and ends up like horribly traumatized.
Yeah, I mean,
literally,
that's Deep Space for you, man.
I know, but it's like it happened very specifically to him. Like there was the one where there was like the episode where it was like some of the most horrifying episodes of that show anyway. Deep Space Nine was just like O'Brien getting put through a fucking wood chipper. He was like the one where every single interaction he has with everybody is awkward all of a sudden, and like his wife is like staring at him across the table, and the music is like sting, and it kind of implies that he's like, you know, she's eyeing him up, like making sure he doesn't make any sudden moves because she's going to kill him in some way. And O'Brien's like freaking out, and he can't trust anybody, so he just runs off, and he tries to sort of like hide from people and record a log, and then it turns out that O'Brien was actually a clone with a perfect memory the whole time. And then the real O'Brien comes out when they've captured him. It's just like, holy shit, that's me. And it's like, take care of her. It was like a really, really like high intense android, and like, oh, wow, that's haunting and kind of traumatizing. Imagine if that happened to me. That would be really sucky. And then O'Brien has to sort of live with the fact that he killed a version of himself that had exactly the same memories. Clone.
He wasn't really a version of himself. Right?
But he had exactly the same memories and believed he was the real one.
Yeah, but it's still a clone. I'm a firm believer if I have a clone, I'm still the original, and I will kill my other self.
Is it going to turn into the Invincible thing where like...
No, it's not about the Invincible thing. It's like, you're a clone. You're just a copy of me.
This is going to, like, no, literally, you're going to turn into the Mauler brothers. Like, you know, where you're both arguing over who the clone is.
There's no argument. I know for a fact it's me. Right? Like,
well, that's what a clone would say.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. No, because it would be obvious, right?
Would you? Which, I mean, it was perfect in this case. I mean, the idea it's like AI now.
But,
it's
but
like
he
AI
knew, but the clone knew at the end of it that he was a clone, right?
Well, the clone knew, possibly, but he could also have been he seemed like he knew he was a clone, but he also could have been thinking, well, one of us might not. It might be my life is about to be taken over by a clone. You know, you never know.
Oh.
And then there was the one where O'Brien was somehow sentenced to like 90 years in time prison, where he goes insane like over and over again.
I mean, would get insane 90 years with your own train of thought, right?
Yeah, and he like kills a guy, and then he has flashbacks when he gets back to the real world, and it's like, wow, O'Brien's existence is just pure suffering.
I mean, what else they could have done? Erase his memory?
I'm pretty sure that happened more than once.
Yeah. So you're saying O'Brien is the punching bag of Star Trek?
Oh yeah, like in terms of. I was gonna say maybe Quark as well, but like Quark is like gets himself into shit. Like,
no, Quark is because he that's what he does. Like,
yeah.
Well, that was a funny episode was when his mother didn't wear clothes, and in the whole race, with females can't wear clothes.
Yeah,
that was a really funny episode. It was
she just like keeps outsmarting him in business. And he's like, "No, mother, you cannot do that."
Well, she can.
But she's just looking at the books, going, "Ah, shit, she's really good."
No, and then she ends up marrying their president or ruler or whatever.
The nays. Yeah,
we're really good at Star Trek, even though we enjoy it quite a bit. We're like just butchering everything. Well, imagine there's some nerds out there, like bigger nerds than us.
Yeah, oh yeah,
being like
well, actually, it's pronounced sleep. You know, Klingon is an actual language. People have written like.
Yeah, I'm actually super impressed with that. They did the same thing with Lord of the Rings and Elvish, right?
That's very specifically Tolkien, though. Like, I'm not sure if Roddenberry actually created an entire Klingon language.
Somebody did create an entire Klingon.
I think it was a
language.
fan thing. Tolkien came up with the languages by himself. He was like he was a linguist nerd. That was his thing. You know, he basically came up with the languages first, and then invented like the stories of who spoke these languages.
Yeah,
you know, so the elves spoke languages that were similar to Finnish and Welsh because he found them like sort of, you know, magical, you know.
Finnish are magical.
Their
just taxes, like your income is magical because it just disappears.
Yeah,
because your taxes are 40%,
and all that alcohol is magical because it's also 40% and it's going down your face.
Yeah. No, well, you mean like tax on 40%?
No, well, there's that, and the Finns love their alcohol.
Yeah, they can't afford it though because it's so expensive to buy alcohol.
Which is why when you see Finnish people anywhere else, they're always like, "Haha, my friend, you must come and drink more with us. We don't normally get this much."
That's a Russian accent, by the way.
Yeah, most of the Finns I met were kind of insane and sounded vaguely Russian. That's only the Finns I've met.
Have you noticed every time you're making an accent, it always comes out Russian for some reason? I'm just saying. It's like I always ended up having always sort of an Italian sort of accent.
Even when you try to do a British accent, yes.
Yeah. Whoa, dude. Uncle for man.
That was a pretty good American accent, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, American accent is easy. You just have to imagine you have a massive ass potato in your mouth. You're going to just start talking like that. You'll be fine.
That was more Sean Connery.
It was, isn't it?
Where's the universe, Highlander?
Yeah, no. But let's not start selling our services for doing impressions of people, because
we are not professional voice actors. This is
I think that's super obvious, my dude.
Speaking of professional voice actors, right? I haven't told the lovely audience this story, but I spent some time with my lovely partner in London this weekend. Yeah. We had an air-conditioned room in like the 33-degree heat. It was lovely. I cannot express to you the joy of walking into like an 18 degrees cold room when it's 33 and it's like 100% humidity. And you're like, I feel clean again all of a sudden. Anyway.
Wait, you washed in the what?
Yeah, we just washed in the air.
Okay, cool.
No, the point is, we were chilling out and we were watching the free hotel TV. We were just going, this aircon is lovely. Can I have some, look, this water isn't room temperature immediately after getting it out of the fridge. Enjoying that stuff anyway. We find a movie called Maximum Overdrive, which was written and directed by Stephen King. Now, you might think, well, Stephen King's written quite a few movies in the past. He's written things like The Shining and stuff. Yes, you'd be right. But he's never directed anything before. and he never directed anything since because it was absolute dog shit. There's it has Charlie Sheen's little brother in it, who is playing what can only be described as like, imagine a guy from a 50s bike gang, like a greaser gang, like with the leather jacket and like the swishback hair, but he's also a loner who's just cruising through town and ends up basically a comet goes overhead and all the machines come to life and try to kill them.
Makes no fucking sense.
It's like literally the thing of that Stephen King joke from Futurama, where he's like, "So, what's your next book about, Stephen?" It's just like, a haunted table lamp. Whoa! And it's like, you're really out of ideas, aren't you? It's like, yes.
But I think people that write stuff shouldn't actually direct. There are like very little people that have cross talent like that.
Yeah, there really are. I mean,
like Stephen King books are great to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, but it's one thing to describe someone getting like mashed into the grill of like a giant,
and then you're
semi-truck.
actually having to film it frame by frame to make sure everything's absolutely perfect.
Every single time in this movie that someone got hit by a car or a truck, like it looked like the truck was standing still and the actor was just running into it. Like every single time.
That would be such a cool movie to make, though.
It sounds like it would be so fun, but it's just like this guy's getting chased down by like, you know, a speeding, you know, Mack truck or whatever, and all of a sudden he goes ah, and then like you just see him jump into the grill and bounce off it, and then all of a sudden he's dead. Like he just explodes.
Well, we didn't have any professionals with him to actually help him direct.
Apparently not.
They were all like, you know what? We're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Stephen King has like a whole history of being really shitty with directors of his movies. Like, him and Stanley Kubrick like nearly got into a fist fight once, I think, over The Shining.
Okay.
Which caused Stephen King to take his name off it forever. He said he hates that version of The Shining even now. Because it distracted from the main focus of all Stephen King books, which is, you know, a writer with personal problems from Maine who drinks too much and abuses his family.
So because he wasn't involved in a certain way, like he didn't put the spotlight on him as the writer. All of a sudden he's like,
kind of, yeah. I mean, bear in mind,
like,
in the 80s, you know, Stephen King was doing a lot of cocaine, so
he probably still is. Maybe he slowed down at his old age. He's only drinking whiskey.
I think he stopped drinking as well. I think he had to quit all of it.
No, so his books are rubbish now. Then.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, he's not cranking them out.
That explains it.
The thing is with Stephen King is he cranks out so much stuff that he'll do like some great classic books like The Stand, The Shining, Christine, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then he'll get like hammered and like forget that he's written those ideas already and then try and do them again and then publish them anyway. And they'll still sell enough to make it worth it, so he'll just churn them out.
I mean, he already created a pretty great universe, right? Because most of those books are in the same universe and they're sort of the same forces at hand that creates everything. And there was a whole thing with, I haven't read much of Stephen King. I just know some of his movies. It wasn't that thing with that chick that was traveling across America and was looking for children that had the Shining in them, right?
Yeah.
And they were killing them just so they can get their lifespan or whatever stuff. He created a pretty good universe. Like, he could have milked that a bit more.
I think he was going to, but then he kept writing random other stuff that didn't sort of fit in with it. You know, because I know the main character of The Stand. If you haven't read The Stand, by the way, it's one of his thickest ones. It's really big, but it's worth it. It's a great book. It's like,
it was thick, but it was worth it.
No, come on. That's my joke to make, asshole. Put me on blast like that in Pride Month. Anyway,
is it Pride Month?
Yeah, it's June.
Okay. I thought it was last month.
No.
I don't know why I thought it was last month.
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, May. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Well, isn't that? I don't know, dude.
I'm not. No, it's all right. You don't have to know. Don't worry. You know.
Don't follow.
Just don't worry. A little hetero head about this.
No. I'm a simple man. I'm hetero.
We just keep him as a pet. You know. Where was I going with that?
I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah, Stephen King, The Stand. There's a sort of character within it called the Dark Man, the Walking Dude, also known as Randall Flagg. But he was supposed to be sort of like a different, he was kind of supposed to be Nyarlathotep. You know, he's supposed to be a Lovecraftian horror that shows up in different forms in each sort of Stephen King book.
Yeah.
Like the giant monster from It, he was supposed to be part of that. And all these like different monsters are kind of a part of like a Lovecraftian sort of pantheon. Yeah. But because Stephen King doesn't have any discipline in his writing, he just writes. You know, he didn't really sort of build that like Lovecraft did.
You'd think if you just have a lot of ideas, you get somebody to sort of, I don't know, ghostwrite for you in the background, as in take your ideas and you just write 600 pages and be like, here's my 600 pages of nonsense. Can you make sense of this and make it work with everything else I created? Like, isn't that when you get the writing teams on TV shows, right? They do this sort of thing.
True, but knowing Stephen King, and you know, he doesn't like his work to be shared with really anybody. Like, he very rarely collaborated with other people. You know,
he should have. Maybe he would have probably created some great shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Good Omens happened. It's got Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman before.
Oh, Good Omens was a phenomenal TV show.
And the book is actually better. I love the book.
I don't know. You know how I feel about books.
They are the enemy and I must destroy them with fire.
No. I like books when they made TV shows out of them. They're really good when they made TV shows out of them. Like, my favorite joke ever in a TV show was, so the idea was there's a massive pentagram around London, which is the M25.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I drove on the M25, man. He is right.
Yeah. It's like, you know, just like, with a few minor adjustments, the M25 suddenly became the shape of Ogre Den, and which means I shall give myself to the beast of darkness, or something like that. But so just driving around it causes, like, you know, suffering.
Listen, there's parts of it, I know you don't drive, but there's parts of the M25 what I look at them as a stress test for your car. Like genuinely, if anybody drove on the M25 knows what I'm talking about. It's so bumpy, but not in the idea that there's potholes in the road. No, they're like little lines of bumps that the car just goes, and that's for like 6-7 miles, and the car just stress tests your whole car. And if you have a car like mine, which is a Yaris, which is not meant for comfort, and it's not meant to be on the M25, because, you know, it's a tiny car.
It's supposed to take you to the hairdressers.
Pretty much, you know, to make myself look pretty. Yeah. And you go on the M25, you go at 70 miles an hour, and you just go for 6 miles. You're like, probably my bumper's gonna fall off soon. It's like, is that even attached?
So this is why, you know, Star Trek universe makes more sense. If you're in space, you don't have to deal with speed bumps.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, that would be great.
It'd be easier to have communism in space. All the highways are already built. You don't have to like bulldoze entire houses out of the way.
Okay. I thought you're gonna make a reference to the. What was it called? Guide to the Universe?
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. I was thinking you're gonna make a reference to that. I'm like, wow, dude. But you
it kind of is when you think about it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the whole point of the Hitchhiker's Guidebooks is that flyover, which like they were going to destroy the house, didn't need to be built anyway because the planet was going to get blown up.
Yeah.
And the Earth didn't need to blow up anyway because right after the Vogons blow it up, they discover we don't actually need hyperspace bypass routes anymore. Obsolete. Goodbye.
But that was the really good one as well, man.
It was like,
I love sci-fi.
It's a great thing, and you know, even if it's being written by insane people like Harlan Ellison or, you know, most of those guys from the 60s, even if it's being written by insane people, you can have a lot, you know, you can learn a lot from it, you know.
I mean, I'm not sure if they would have gone sort of a more cyberpunky kind of way. That would have been cool. I mean, they do go because that's what they made the Borg.
Yeah, but true.
I felt like sometimes I look at it and I'm like, it would have been cool if they went sort of cyberpunk. Have you played? No, you haven't played cyberpunk.
I haven't played cyberpunk. I'm familiar with the genre though. I've watched Blade Runner. You know, I've read Blade Runner. You know.
Yeah. So if they would have slightly went in that direction, just a little bit, not too much, because we don't want to.
I mean, Deep Space Nine was about as darkest as they got, I suppose.
No, we got
besides
dark,
Nemesis,
the new
actually.
ones. Then the new ones got dark.
All right.
Some of the new ones they got Okay.
But did they get dark interesting, or did they get dark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Discovery got really good. Like Discovery was it's like a roller coaster, right? That like first 2 seasons you're like, oh my god, this is shit. This is so good. That's how it goes, right?
To be fair, that's most Star Trek series. The first 2 seasons suck, and then they get better afterwards.
No. The first 2 seasons are really good, and then they had 2 or seasons that were like really crap and slow, and you're like, where are you going with this? And then they finished on a high note.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's
like I like the way it finished. A lot of people didn't. Like a lot of people, they were like, why did they go space travel? Time travel all of a sudden, but it needed to be done.
I mean, like, time travel happened in a bunch of different... Like, remember when Benjamin Sisko ended up, like, reshaping world history by accident? That happened all the time, you know?
Oh, yeah, and actually, in New Generation, they did time travel as well.
Yeah, like, Picard going back to the 20s to live out private eye fantasies and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Or was that that was a holodeck. Yeah,
that was a holodeck.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Holodecks don't count.
I forget which one's a holodeck and which one's a genuine time travel, all right?
No, that's... but they're all fun.
Remember the one where Quark and, like, his family get stuck, like, in the 1940s and, like, with Americans, and they're trying to, like, you know, sell them stuff.
Actually, don't remember that one.
Do you not remember that one?
No.
They got like some fancy ship and like it accidentally teleported them back in time because his brother like screwed him over or something, and they end up back in the 40s. I don't know. It was a one-off episode. It didn't really amount to anything.
That's most of Star Trek.
Star Trek.
I mean, again, it's most of all Star Trek, except for I think with the Space Nine and Voyager, they actually kept it sort of going in a direction.
Yeah, it's just that with Deep Space Nine it worked, and with Voyager it didn't. I do not understand why.
Well, I think Voyager, I don't know, maybe better actors. Well, no, it wasn't the actors. I think it was the writing.
Yeah, because
the writing was boring as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to go back to the formula, like, oh, there's a new planet, but they sort of didn't. You know, the quirky characters were really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they do bring the robot lady back.
Oh, 7 of 9, yeah.
So they bring her back, and she gets really fucking cool.
Mm.
Yeah, but she was
always cool. She was always the best part of Voyager, let's be honest.
The rack on her, yeah.
That's not what I was saying, man. Yeah. I meant from a purely... she was gorgeous.
She was gorgeous. She was a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
And she was like fine wine. If you watch the newer stuff, she was like fine. She's still like fine wine. Anyway.
Let's, on that note, that's going to rapidly disappoint any of our regular listeners and or parents.
My parents are not listening to this.
Good, neither am I. Advantages of having older parents: they don't listen to your podcasts where you say things.
I have friends that don't listen to this thing. But if you did get all the way here, thank you.
leave your thoughts about what idiots we are in the comments, please.
Yeah, just write the comment saying wow. I got there. just write at the end I got there, and then
I got there and I regret everything immediately.
Okay, so then on that note, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper, or as you might say to someone else, live short and suck.
You have a good day, guys.
Like and subscribe.